Okay. So Luke. Council submission on the regulatory standards bill.
Second, should we just write no?
No, we need
Got Tyrone, move it, and Melanie second.
Oh.
What?
Well, there is some good little money coming up, granny flats.
Yeah.
Bring on the granny flats.
Afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'll take it as read. We're seeking council approval for the submission on the regulatory standards bill. So yeah, the submission in itself doesn't support the bill in its current form, but it does acknowledge aspects that we agree with. However, we're seeking some clarity and some key changes for our support.
Any questions? Good point.
Thanks. So just on 3.3.3, there's concern the new mechanisms proposed could introduce unnecessary compliance costs and confusion instead of enhancing regulatory quality. Can you kind of outline what some of those could possibly be?
Yeah, so it's uncertain what the additional costs or resourcing would be. However, what we're acknowledging, there already is significant oversight across regulation in place. So there's regulatory impact statements. We ourselves as a council are subject to quite extensive requirements, such as the Bill of Rights and other aspects of the LGA and all of those things that provide us with the oversight that we have in terms of our regulation. So it's unclear how this new regime will interplay with that. And it seems to be duplicating it rather than providing a improvement as such.
So you're saying that the additional costs would be in setting up a new regulatory body, but not necessarily additional costs for our council.
Well, that's where the uncertainty is. We don't know how it's going to be applied to us and how it's going to be applied to our secondary legislation. So there's a possibility that we have to adapt. And we may be subject to duplicate regimes in terms of our regulatory quality.
Okay, that's good.
Just a short one, just 3.2.2, absence of treaty considerations. Isn't that implicit in everything we do in local government anyway?
It is, however, so it is in terms of the LGA and other statutory requirements that we have. However, this is proposed as being the standard for what is considered quality regulation, and that being absent, it has a risk that it may trickle down in terms of the assessment of any of the secondary legislation that we have, but also other central government agencies and whatnot. They don't need to have that as part of their regulatory consideration. So under this particular framework. So the risk is that for future legislation, future regulation, it may have a chilling effect in terms of, so it might be the right thing to do. However, because it's going to be not assessed in terms of what is considered quality regulation, legislation from having those sort of considerations as part of it.
So
There's mays, yes. There's a lot of uncertainty around the implementation of this bill, what it would look like, how it will apply to us, how it will apply to other agencies, the enforceability of it, and what it will lead on to. So there are a lot of mays. However, as a framework in itself, there's concerns around the narrow scope of it, and the treaty considerations is one of those parts.
All right, thanks very much. Well, that's very clear. Thank you very much. So I'll put that.
Hang on, can I just say something?
Yes, you can.
I think this is a really, really excellent submission, and I'll be really brief, but the thing is that once again, we see our local government authority being undermined potentially with this. And in actual fact, it doesn't really as you said in your submission here, it doesn't really align with our established constitutional role. We've got the risk of duplication unnecessarily, we've got the risk of extra costs, public policies not being taken into account. There's a lot of negatives here that have been rightly pointed out, plus there's a lot of unknowns still. So I just want to congratulate you and staff on this excellent submission once again, and totally support it.
All right, with that, I will put this, everyone, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against, thank you, that's carried.